And then came Tyla's Breakfast Club interview. Tyla sat down with the Breakfast Club, another black media outlet. Let's lock that in, okay? Let's clock it, baby. Another black media outlet. She went to this media outlet with her hair cornrow, okay? And, you know, we're going to get into the discussion of that because I know all the South Africans are like, oh, cornrows. We're going to get into a discussion. We're going to get into that. So she goes to this black media outlet, The Breakfast Club, and Charlemagne, one of the hosts, which if you're familiar, you know that he's messy. He's a messy man. He asks her during the interview to, you know what? Let me just play it and you can see.
School me on these debates that they be having about your identity as a South African colored person. What does that even mean?
Can we not? Por favor.
Oh, I like that. We keeping that in the interview too. I like when they talk from the back and say we can't. I like that. That's good. That's even better.
Next one, please.
That's even better.
You're stupid.
So if you're just listening to this, let me describe what happened here. So he asked the question, school us on the colored identity, school us about your identity, and just like, let us know, tell us what's up, you know? And instead of answering the question, Tyla silently looks back to her people. And then that's when you hear that like weird audio. That's her people talking in the background off camera saying, can we move on? Next question, please. So she went out of her way to avoid answering that question when it was presented to her on a black media website. Okay? So there's been this debate and this drama going on for months and months and months. And she had an opportunity to clear it up. And she chose to remain silent and have her team do her dirty work. And if you watch the video, you can see the way the energy behind it is like, I'm not even gonna, and she just turns around and looks at her people. I'm not even going to address this at all, okay? And so this interview ignited a firestorm on the internet because Black Americans were asking, why can't she just answer the damn question? Explain colored. Explain what colored is. Tell us what y'all South Africans are telling us we're so stupid. We don't know. We can't tell that about, it's hard for us to understand different races. Well, now's your opportunity to break it down. And instead you chose to plead the fifth and have your team do the dirty work and move on. Okay? And so a lot of South Africans were in the comments being like, well, she's already said it. Yeah, in that sneaky ass Cosmopolitan interview, sure. She's already said it. She's tired of answering. She doesn't want to have to answer. You guys aren't listening. She's tired. She's already said this. And of course came all the, you Americans, you uneducated, stupid, dumb, ugly Americans. You know, one thing that gets my goat, one thing that yanks my crank is the way foreigners talk about Americans. Like, y'all foreigners be hating on Americans so bad. It is so embarrassing. The way Americans are so dumb, they're so uneducated. Let me break this down for you. We have the same amount of stupid people here as you have in your country. Because I've been to some of your countries. I've been to a lot of your countries. I'm a well-traveled person. That's another thing. Oh, you Americans, you need to get out of the United States and travel. I actually am a very well-traveled person. And what's so crazy is a lot of those people who are saying that probably have never even left the African continent. But they're going to tell you that you need to be traveling. You need to get out, okay? Especially South Africa. I mean, where are you going from South Africa? It's so far away from everything. I mean, what's close to South Africa that you can get to quick? Okay? So one thing that really frustrates me is how they be coming down on Americans, and not just Black Americans, it's just like Americans in general. And this happens from especially Europeans, y'all. Especially Europeans, you know, the way they come down on Americans and how uneducated and stupid we are. Like I said, we have the same amount of stupid people here as you have there. And we have the same amount of smart people as you have there. I mean, it's just common sense. There's dumb people everywhere and there's smart people everywhere. Living in a country doesn't make you smart or dumb. If you are painting a whole entire country as stupid and uneducated, you are a xenophobe. That is xenophobia. Okay? I don't know how else to put this for y'all, especially y'all meanie South Africans. You are being xenophobic to sit there and say that all Americans are dumb, all Americans are stupid. You're being a xenophobe, period, point blank. And the other aspect of this where they're like, oh, Americans, they just so obsessed with race. I can't stand when motherfuckers say that shit. They're so obsessed with race. What are you talking about? We didn't invent race. Europeans invented race. So you mean to tell me that the place where the fuck race and racism was invented is less obsessed than the place where they exported that racism to? Y'all be in Europe talking about Americans are so racist and, not racist, are so race obsessed. They're so obsessed with race. Everything's so black and white. Meanwhile, y'all are leaving the whole entire European Union so that you can keep the immigrants out. Meanwhile, the far right-wing parties of Europe have been rising up since immigration started moving towards Europe instead of the United States. So y'all want to talk about how Americans are so obsessed with race, but y'all motherfuckers are trying to close your borders because there's too many black and brown people coming in, and you want to ship all of them back. So miss me with that. And let's not act like racism wasn't exported across the whole entire freaking planet. Even the motherland. Y'all are not going to tell me that Americans are obsessed with race and nobody else is, when my own dad told me that in his country, Equatorial Guinea, Central Africa, that in his country, up until like the 70s, they had to walk off the sidewalk when a white person was walking down the sidewalk. In motherfucking Africa. Y'all South Africans want to tell Americans that we're obsessed with race when your country is run by white people. Please miss me with that nonsense. Okay? How did your country end up the way it did if there wasn't an obsession with race? Y'all motherfuckers had apartheid up until the 80s. So you mean to tell me that, oh, it's been 40 years, we're done, we've moved on? Don't play with me. And the same thing with Asia, okay? And especially South America. That's another thing. You Latinos, my Latino cousins, primos y primas, listen, escúchame por favor, okay? The way y'all act like only Americans, Latinos are some of the most race-obsessed people. Y'all have a whole phrase, mejorar la raza. For what? For those who don't know, by the way, that means make the race better. And how do you think they make the race? How do you think Latinos make the race better? By whitening it up, by procreating with white people to whiten up the race. Okay? That they have a whole freaking phrase to describe that. But we Americans are the ones that are obsessed with race.